Hello everyone, odedex here, welcome to episode 168 of my Synth Let's Play. So as you can see, I'm still at my HV solar array factory age, still manufacturing solar arrays. At the moment the system is turned off, at the moment it's requiring a signal to operate, and obviously since there isn't one, it's stopped. And I'm gonna get to it why it's doing that at the moment. Although I'm still collecting UU matter while that's running, so that's not a problem. UU matter is usually the bottleneck of everything, so at the moment it's still being collected. So as you can see, a couple of changes have been made. The first one being I upgraded from 1 igneous extruder to 6, because when I had this entire burst of materials available for the system to craft, cobblestone started being the bottleneck of everything else. So at first I upgraded to 3 of them, and it still wasn't enough. Then I upgraded to 6, it was enough, and now apparently even 6 are too much because, well, it's turned off at the moment, but actually before I turned it off, one of them was pretty much enough because then again it started using less. Well, I don't know. Anyway, that's the first change. The second change is I decided to go ahead and remove the forcing of updates. I may reinstall it later. But at the moment it's being removed because now I'm crafting a lot faster and there is always this constant stream of materials and things always move. I don't know how much you actually need it, so at the moment it's being removed. Next thing, actually not related to this age, although I will come back here today, don't worry. I'm gonna come back here pretty much a lot now. The next change, something I forgot to, not forgot, but something that I said I'm going to do in the previous episode, I didn't, so I went ahead and did this in this one, is actually, as you can see, integrating 2 additional MFSUs to my reactors right over here. Now, the reason I did this is because each reactor, because of the new design, each reactor generates 440 EU per tick. You can actually go ahead and see it in my monitor back at my base, which is right over here. 420 EU per tick, almost the same. Now, as a result of that number, I'm actually generating more than what one MFSU can output. Now, as a result, since before I did that change, both of those reactors were outputting to the same MFSU, but it can output only a smaller number. There were actually some wasted ticks every so often between those reactors. So by adding 1 MFSU per each one, actually I think only this one is being used. As you can see, some energy also gets moved into here. I think nothing moves here actually, but some moves here. So this way I'm wasting nothing. And also because energy is being routed again into 2 separate MFSUs right here, and there is a constant movement of energy in between the MFSUs, nothing is being wasted. So that's pretty much the source of making that change. And one last thing I've changed in between the episodes was I actually finally reconnected my track placement system of my red powder quarry. It seems to be running fine. It seems to be running properly, it seemed, so far. So I reconnected everything. I'm gonna keep all those solar arrays, but yeah, I reconnected my track placement system, so it's now, once again, every time the quarry either reaches the maximum height or the maximum depth, a signal comes through and makes the entire thing here go forward and place 1 piece of track. So that's that. Alright, so those are all the changes that had happened in between the episodes, and now for things that I actually wanted to start doing. And let me actually come back to this age and explain why did I turn off the crafting of arrays. So I actually realized in between the episodes that something here I made which is kind of stupid. If you recall, the way I crafted my actual solar placement system is building 1 row of them, I think specifically 10, go 1 block back, build another 10, go 1 block back, 10, and so on and so forth. Now this here, I forgot about this fact when I built this thing. So there are a couple of things I could do. The more complicated solution would be to start moving things around, and by that I mean barricade everything, move it a couple of blocks to here, and replace the books and reset everything. That's the annoying solution. By the way, where is the actual MFSU? Oh, there it is. Okay. That's the annoying solution. The easier solution would be to do the following. Could go ahead and simply get that counter. Recall it's going for maximum count of 10 and a decrement of 10. It's just one more tick away from actually doing the process. Take it away and simply reset it. Again, count of 10, a decrement of 10, and that's it. Now what that means, it's going to be a little bit ugly. It's going to first complete another 10 of those right now. But right now, with the current change, this is now the reset position. So it will not go any further, like any more in that direction beyond that point. So again, it's going to be a little bit uglier. The first line will be a lot larger than the rest of them, but this will not have any problems with this small contraption right here. So again, a small change, but something that I kind of had to do. And this is why I turned this off. I didn't want the thing to tick while it wasn't set up properly. So now we can turn this back on, and as you can see, things are back in normal operation. I actually considered adding one more crafting CPU to the system, but I think it's actually unnecessary because at the moment, if I want to actually increase the speed, I probably need to find a better system to process all of those things. Because at the moment, I think my furnace, my extractor, and my macerator are the big bottlenecks of the system, apart from UU matter. So really adding more crafting CPUs to the molecular crafter won't help that much. It might help a bit, but it won't help that much. Anyway, the project that I'd like to start today, at least one of them, would be to increase my UU matter production. You may ask yourself, how can I do that? Well, that's actually very simple. If I go back to my main age, my overworld age, and I look through my storage, you'll be able to see something very nice. At the moment, as you can see, I started moving a lot of those materials back to my HV Solar age. I'm keeping all the numbers below 2000. I'm not sure how did copper get so low. This is kind of strange, but it did. So I'm keeping all my numbers below 2000, except for tin, which goes below 10,000. But the strange thing is that Forsicum, well, it's not strange, but that's a fact. Forsicum I'm not using for anything. But the big thing about Forsicum, except for being the core reagent for MFFS, that it can actually be used as an amplifier for a mass fabricator. And this is a big thing because then I can go ahead and start using it as an amplifier. So it will make my life a lot easier. But before I go ahead and do that, a couple of things that I'd like to do. The first thing is, since I started moving all my actual expensive or important materials to craft, let's start moving a lot of the cheap materials to recycle with much lower counts. So instead of keeping 64,000 cobblestone, let's start keeping 10,000 cobblestone. Same with dirt. Let's go for 10,000. What is this here? This is sand. Let's go again. 10,000, 10,000. This is string. I don't need this amount. Let's go for below 2,000. Gravel, 10,000. And finally, sandstone. Again, 10,000. I don't need those large numbers available at all times. So I can start to go ahead and start recycling all of them. So there's going to be starting to be a large movement of items in between the ages. Now, as I've just done, as I've just changed all those numbers, those recyclers are going to start working a lot of time. Like, they're going to be working almost all the time. So originally I thought that I could start routing Forsicum directly into this mass fabricator, but then I realized that because I'm moving so many of those cheap items, so to speak, to be recycled, it's going to create either a bottleneck with the Forsicum or with the cheap materials with the normal scrap. As a result, one of them won't be used and it's kind of silly. So what the easiest solution to all of this is simply going to add another mass fabricator. So let's go ahead and do that. I don't think I have an auto recipe to craft it, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. To craft a mass fabricator, let's see, it's probably one of the more expensive recipes, but it's still kind of easy thing to do. So I'm going to need 4 glowstone, 4 glowstone, chipsets. I'm going to need, not chipset, how's it called? I keep forgetting the name. Circuit, 2 advanced circuit and 2 advanced machine blocks. So 2 advanced machine blocks and 2 circuits. those two and the other two that are now being crafted with all of this good stuff, and also one Lapotron crystal, which conveniently I have one. Not sure why or how, but I do. So that's nice. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for this to finish. Alright, there we go. So we got all of those different materials. So finally, let's set up the recipe. Cannot use it with the Lapotron crystal because it's a special recipe. Okay, so I got the mass fabricator. Now to complete the process, I'm going to need a couple of things. I'm going to need a level emitter. So let's get one. I'm going to need an export bus. So let's get one as well. And I'm going to need 2 new item tesseracts. So let's get one and craft one more. Let's craft a bunch more. So at least one for now. My export bus, please, and my level meter. Thank you. And I'm going to need also a relay. Kind of no other choice. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing up here. Kind of continue the same connection, although let's use this spot right here, which is being unused for anything else. Let's have it connected like so. So it's gonna have my relay facing this way. Let's have the export bus facing this way. Let's have the level emitter facing... Okay, can't do it like this. Let's have the relay facing this way. Nope. This way. And can restore this torch. And let's have, this is gonna have to go away, this goes away, and also this goes away, causing a lot of updates to the network, but really no other choice if I want to keep it all in the same place. So export bus, level emitter. This level emitter will emit a signal if I have more than 2000 forsicum, and this relay will send items into this item tesseract. And this item tesseract will be, I do already have forsicum, but the other forsicum has a different, this forsicum network has a different logic. This forsicum network is restoring the MFFS gas farm, so I'm going to have a different forsicum network. Let's have frequency 9. And this will be forsicum amplifier. And add that network that will be sending only. And that one will be sending forsicum one at a time with a signal. So when I have a signal, it's going to send this on the export bus, and finally I'm going to reconnect this thing. Actually, let's check 1 second. Why is my copper sending so much? It's kind of acting strange. You know what? I don't know. It's acting really strange. Anyway, the sending is done, so it will now send forsicum when I have more than 2000, meaning that when I have that large amount of forsicum, I'm going to start using it to amplify my production of UU matter. And finally, let's set up the new mass fabricator. So to do that, I'm going to need an additional filter. And I'm going to need some tubes. Pneumatic tubes, and let's have a little bit of cobblestone so I have some building blocks to build with. Apart from that, okay, I might also need some glass fiber cables to make sure that I have the possibility of extending whatever I need to extend, and this should be enough. I was considering placing the actual mass fabricator right next to this, although I'm not going to, because of simple problem where by the item tesseract, you know what, I might be able to do that. Let's try doing that, let's see how that turns out. So if I have this mass fabricator right here, it's going to receive the same energy, so now energy will be divided in between those mass fabricators. Now of course, both of them will have their separate amplifiers, so that's fine. Same energy, still generating the same amount of everything. This relay will be facing to the top. So basically to the amplifier slot of the mass fabricator, and the item tesseract will be, let's place it right about here. It will be the forsicum amplifier network, and it will be receiving only. So now there's going to be a constant amount of forsicum available here. So this is now going to create large amount of UV matter at all times. And finally, I'm going to need to have a filter on top of it, extracting everything out, rotate it the other way. I'm going to need, I forgot I'm going to need some alloy wire actually. So that's something I'm going to need to bring back, but I can now do this. Actually, you know what, let's just... by the way, at some point, I don't remember if I updated you guys that I did this, but at some point I actually took away all the timers because they were generating unnecessary ticks and calculations to this age and to my save altogether. So since they were completely unnecessary, just took them away. So just might as well take this away as well. And now I have a much faster production of UV matter. So after all of that, why am I not producing? Would expect to produce things a lot faster. Something is keeping me. What's the bottleneck? I think the bottleneck is rubber. I wanted to try something in regards to crafting rubber to make the process faster. It's definitely a bottleneck. If I'm creating more UV matter, if I'm creating UV matter faster than I'm actually producing HV solar rays, there is a problem. Like, there is definitely a problem. So yeah, it clearly seems like the rubber is my current bottleneck. So I'm kind of solving each bottleneck one at a time. Every time I come up with one, every time I find one, I kind of try to modify it. Now I actually tried doing something, but it caused some problems. Let's try it again. Maybe it will work again. So what I was trying off screen but reverted a change, which I'm going to do once more, is the following thing. First I'm going to take the recipe out, which will pretty much going to break the entire production line, but I'm going to simply have to do it. So at the moment the production line is broken. What I was doing the first time around, so I'm going to do this again. At the moment, rubber is being created 3 at a time. It's being created in the following logic. So the system requests for 3 rubber, because, well, the system requests for any amount of rubber. It knows that it can create 3 at a time, so it sends one piece of sticky resin into this interface, which then in turn extracts the rubber, and the import bus, which works all the time, always active, one stack at a time, it will always extract rubber. So basically it sends one piece of resin, sends back 3 pieces of rubber, and this is what the system expects, and this is what happens. But what I tried doing to trick it, although it caused some problems, but the problems were kind of inconsistent. They were sometimes happening, sometimes they weren't happening. Let's simply try it again. What I was actually doing was the following thing. I'm going to need a stack of 21 rubber. And the reason why I'm taking a stack of 21 rubber is because 21 rubber is the amount that they're being crafted. The recipe to create rubber for me with UV matter is 21 at a time. So what I'm doing, I'm going to take 21 rubber. I'm going to ask to craft 1. It's going to create a lot more because I had a little bit more. I'm going to need 21. And with that 21 amount, what I'm going to do is modify the recipe in the following way. I'm going to take the recipe, and instead of telling the system that one sticky resin creates 3 rubber, I'm going to tell that the 21 resin creates 3 rubber. Now, obviously it's wrong. The recipe is wrong. 21 resin creates 63 rubber. But that number I'm not modifying. And the reason I'm doing that is simply because the way applied logistics, inherently the way it works, when it asks for a recipe, when it asks for a custom recipe or a crafting recipe, whatever you want to call that, even if it only requires half of the amount of what you expect the output to be. So for example, if I would set the output to be 63 rubber, even if the system only requires like 3 rubber or 6 rubber, the moment it asks for a recipe, it will not continue with the rest of the process until it finishes. So doing what I just did, because the minimum process is 3 rubber, 1 resin to 3 rubber is the minimum process, you cannot go below that number, I kind of cheated the system, telling it that if you give me 21 sticky resin, I'm going to give you back 3 rubber. But as a result of the import bus always running, this basically results in the system asking for 3 rubber. It receives the 3 rubber it asks for, but it can continue crafting the rest of the things that it's trying to craft as a part of the crafting network. Pretty much resulting in a much faster process because Every time the system asks for 3 rubber, it gets the 3 rubber, but all the other rubber that from the sticky resin it continues to generate pretty much the next time the system asks for rubber once more. It doesn't have to wait for the process to happen again. It's already happening, so it's already crafting the rubber it's looking for. This might be a little bit confusing, and I won't blame you if you don't understand what exactly do I mean by doing all of that confusing math. But overall, this should make the system run faster. Now, the reason why I took it away is basically like it's kind of unexplained. I don't really know how to explain it, but for some reason the system kind of got stuck on crafting rubber in a loop. Like it kept crafting more and more and more rubber. At the beginning of the episode, if you look closely, you'll be able to see that I had like a count of 300 rubber for some reason. And this is a very unexplained number because there is no reason for me to have that amount with the system in place at the moment, or previous to the recent change that I made. But as you can see now, it seems to be running relatively fast. If you look at the crafting monitor, you'll be able to see that it's pretty much crafting at full speed. The current bottleneck is pretty much just refined iron. Refined iron is the last bottleneck that I still really have no way to solve. I could try and cheat it the same way, but the reason I'd rather not do that, or at least not do that in the current setup, is simply because the reason why I can do that with rubber, at least in theory, is because this extractor is a dedicated machine just for one recipe. So I can clog it as much as I want with unnecessary recipes. Like I dump as much resin as I want here because it will simply keep going. There is really no problem with doing that. But the problem with the refined irons is that the electric furnace is also a host of 4 other recipes, being tin, gold, iron, and copper. And the same way with coal, or actually I think I can do the same thing with coal. No, I can't. Since I'm macerating gold and iron whenever I'm crafting it with DU matter, I cannot do that as well. So this is the reason I can do it for rubber, while I cannot do it for the other materials, but this could be a solution to my rubber bottlenecking the system. As you can see, it clearly is a solution. But the funny thing is that I'm still generating DU matter faster than I'm using it. This is kind of absurd, although the crafting isn't still too fast. What I could do, since I'm all around at the moment, all around the project of making things go faster in regards to this small factory. And by the way, you can see at the moment, now that I've unclogged the rubber bottleneck, now almost 6 of them are now in full operation. Almost 6. This is kind of right on the border of using the 6th one, but not yet. What I could do is have a dedicated electric furnace for iron, and then I could pretty much do the same cheaty recipe that I'm doing for rubber. And you know what? I think I'm actually gonna head and do this. So let me get the materials to build it and see if I can get it done. Okay, so I got the materials to build it, the separate furnace, and actually decided to take a look here. Now that I've unclogged the rubber bottleneck, it's now back to being the UU matter bottleneck. So this is this is the reason why I decided not to go for it originally. As you can see, for some odd reason, at the moment I don't have enough glass, and I have enough UU matter to create glass because the recipe requires 4. But as you can see, the system continues crafting rubber for some reason. So this is why I kind of removed it, because it just keeps happening. I have no explanation for this. It looks for UU matter, it tries to craft why is the rubber being fluctuating? This is kind of unexplainable. Yeah, and you can see the extractor is kind of stuck with a bunch of this is kind of the problem. This is why I have no idea why it's happening. I have couple of ideas how I can fix this. You know what? Actually, let's try it. Okay, I'm going to do it kind of all together. Actually, I'm going to take the recipe out of here. I'm going to try something to fix it. And I'm also going to, I'm going to first turn off this recipe. I'm going to tell it to request a signal, and I'm going to kill this recipe so it stops crafting everything. I'm going to have a large backlog of rubber at the moment, but simply going to be the way it is. And I'm going to take some rubber because I'm going to try and fix the recipe. But before I fix it, let's set up the separate iron or refined iron recipe. So I have 64 storage upgrades, 10 overclock upgrades, and 2 transformer upgrades on each one. So I got the same set of upgrades. Place the electric furnace, and before connecting it to the thing, let's set up the upgrade so it doesn't explode. And now connect it to the network. Place the relay up on top, just like this, and finally have an interface like this with an additional cable connected to set it up. And let's decide on the recipe. So at the moment I'm obviously making 1 refined iron out of 8. I'm trying to think about the right number. Sorry, I'm making 1 refined iron out of 1. I said 8 because this is pretty much the number I'm thinking to go for. Let's try this. Let's try 1 refined iron out of 8. See how that turns out. And the change I'm going to make to my rubber will be the following. So instead of 21 resin giving me 3 rubber, let's make 21 resin give me 12 rubber. It might seem like I'm going for arbitrary numbers here, but it's not exactly the case, simply because Applied Logistics sometimes asks for a different amount of numbers. 12 is kind of the number that makes basically electronic circuit. An electronic circuit requires 6. Electronic circuit requires 6 copper cables, and 6 copper cables require 6. I kind of went for the double of this because sometimes I think this might be the problem of everything. The circuits and the way it's crafted. We'll see. As you can see, at the moment it was clogged. Let's see if it will be unclogged. But let's now change the refined iron. So I'm going to need 1 actual refined iron to craft it with, because I didn't bring anyone with me. So let's make it like so. Change the recipe. So 1 refined iron is being crafted with 8 normal iron. Now, you may say that I can see there is a problem here. Why would I want to do it? This might cause the same problem here. I don't know. I want to test things out. I want to see how do they work all together. All in one big harmony. So, let's place back the rubber recipe. So 21 sticky resin will create 12 rubber according to this recipe. This is what the system now knows. And reintroduce that 1 refined iron is created with 8 iron ingots. I actually forgot to bring an import bus. It will be kind of a wise idea. So import bus, I'm going to craft one, and in the meantime I can put back all those unnecessary things. Let's take this one and set it up. So the import bus will be here, always on, and 1 at a time, stack at a time. So let's turn this back on. This extractor should be unclogged with all the different processes, which still has a lot of those sticky resins available. Well, it's gonna have a lot of backlog of rubber. It's gonna have a large backlog of rubber. Yeah, 1500 almost. It's gonna only keep going up. So let's change this to be always on, and it's gonna be working once more. And as it seems, refined iron is no longer the backlog. If I look at the refined iron count, if I look at the iron count, it will be smarter. Yeah, this is what I was expecting. Every time it requires a refined iron, it dumps a large amount of iron inside the furnace. Actually, because it usually asks for, I think, 8 at a time refined iron, it basically dumps a stack of iron into the furnace. It's all being cooked. The moment it receives the specific amount of iron it was looking for, it creates what it was needed to create, and the backlog of all the remaining refined iron keeps going back into the system and keeps crafting whatever I need crafted. And now it seems that coal dust is my new backlog. It's a game of managing those backlogs, making everything as efficient as possible. But I can do this forever, basically. I'm considering actually doing this. Although it shares the same processing unit as iron. Now at the moment I have a lot of iron from my overworld resources, but the moment it's gonna run out, and it will run out relatively soon. Well, not relatively soon, but it will run out eventually. It might be a bad idea. We'll see. The moment, yeah, it's clearly the moment. This is the backlog. This is the backlog, nothing else. What I could do to speed it up is simply dump some coal here manually, so it keeps processing this coal dust faster. Actually, interesting. Yeah, okay, the MFSU keeps up. Yeah, it shouldn't be having any problem keeping up. Definitely, yeah, no problem whatsoever to keep up. Even the extractor running almost all the time. Okay, I was worried for a second there that one MFSU might have trouble since even though it's not running like at 1 HV solar array per second or something, some crazy speed, it's still running relatively fast, so I was worried for a second there that it might be running too fast to what amount of energy I can generate. And I have a very large amount of UU matter now. Mainly because I'm short on coal. Yeah, coal dust is my new backlog. Alright, so a ton of refinements to my HV Solar Factory. Personally, I'm enjoying this very much. I don't know if you guys enjoy watching me doing this, but I enjoy finding those kind of little things to make this giant. It's a very big project. You might not realize it. It might be dwarfed because Applied Energistics makes it so simple. It's just a chain of recipes being crafted one after the other, and Applied Energistics doing it all automatically. But personally, I really enjoy doing this, finding those little nooks and crannies on how I can make this be even more efficient and more efficient. So this is kind of awesome. Right. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.